it out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 558th edition of Energy Week with George Harvey and Tom Fennell. Today is the 1st of February, 2024, and our news starts with the 25th of January, Thursday, and ends with the 31st of January, which was a Wednesday. And Tom Fennell is not here, but he is on the line. Say hello, Tom.
Hi, hello everybody.
Now, do you believe it? There we go. Okay, this is material that was taken from my blog, geoharvey.com. You can find that online, geoharvey.com. There are a couple of links below, one of which goes to the website that Tom and I use to develop the show, and the other goes to a file that you can download that has all of the links in the show, so that you can get to these links and read the individual articles. Now, the ones on my blog, the best way to get to them is to go to the blog, geoharvey.com, and click on the date on the calendar. That'll give you about 15 articles that you can choose from, and you find the article there. And as I said, we're starting on the 25th of January. Okay, Tom, do you have anything to tell everybody?
Well, I'm just hoping as this week progresses, I'll be able to see a little bit better. Everything's blurry.
Tom is a little bleary-eyed from having just waked up, he said. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Our first item is from Clean Technica, and we have a picture of an offshore wind turbine looking down on it. And what do you have for title, Tom?
U.S. offshore wind industry comes roaring back to the tune of 3.7 gigawatts. Now, I'm going to say it, gigawatts is bigawatts, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. A gigawatt.
There's a lot of energy sitting right there.
Yeah, a gigawatt is approximately the capacity of a largish nuclear reactor. And a gigawatt of offshore wind will produce about half as much electricity because there's a difference in the capacity factor. Put simply, the wind doesn't always blow. So these offshore wind turbines only produce about half as much electricity as a nuclear power plant of the same number of gigawatts. Anyway, this is from Clean Technica. The U.S. offshore wind industry suffered one blow after another last year, and two projects totaling 2.2 gigawatts planned for the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of New Jersey were canceled. But the state's Board of Public Utilities has approved two projects with 3.7 gigawatts of capacity, and they are replacing those ones that were canceled. The reason why they
almost twice as much.
Yeah, the reason why the plants were canceled was a combination of difficulty in the difficulty getting the components to the wind turbines, and also inflation. They had bid projects expecting one cost, and as things turned out, they were going to have to be produced at another. So do you have any more on that, Tom, or should we go ahead?
Just wondering if you had any geographical information on where in New Jersey they are.
I don't know. I mean, they're going to be somewhere in the New York Bight, but I don't know where in New Jersey they are. Okay. I believe it's in the article, but I just don't have that information right now. Okay, our next item also comes from Clean Technica, and it is, we have a picture here of a very unusual flow battery. And I see that the caption for this calls it, oh, it does say flow battery. In the file it says flow batter. But
well, flow battery is a slow battery.
what have you got for a title?
NYU Tandon researchers unlock energy-efficient solution to global water crisis. This is interesting.
This is an interesting thing here. I'm going to read the synopsis, and then we can talk about what's on the picture. Researchers at the NYU Tandon School of Engineering have achieved a major breakthrough in redox, that is, reduction oxidation, flow desalinization, an emerging electrochemical technique that can turn seawater into potable drinking water and also store affordable renewable electricity. Now, if you look at this picture, you can see that at the bottom, seawater is flowing in to two chambers. One of them is chamber 2 and the other one is chamber 3. And chamber 2, well, out of chamber 2 after the process, there is brine, and the brine goes back to the ocean, and it is saltier than the water that came in. Out of the other side, you get fresh water. Now, that's an interesting thing, but the really interesting thing about this is what's happening here is the chamber 2 and chamber 3 and the three membranes that separate chamber 1 from 2, 2 from 3, and 3 from 4, those two chambers in the middle, 2 and 3, basically replace the single membrane that you would normally find in a flow battery. And what's happening is there is a chemical solution, and it is one chemical solution that comes from the electrolyte at the top, and it goes into chamber 1, and it gives up sodium ions into chamber 2. And also, chamber 2 gets chlorine ions from chamber 3, and that means that it's got more salt because those react and they produce sodium chloride, basically table salt. At the same time that chamber 3 is giving up its chlorine ions, it's giving up sodium ions into chamber 4. Now, if you look at this, you can see there's a down below, there's a pathway that allows the solution in chamber 1 to flow into chamber 4. So the chamber 1 material that has given up its sodium ions receives sodium ions back again in chamber 4, and it goes up to the electrolyte storage at the top. And what this means is that this thing can be used as a flow battery, and it also, as it is used as a flow battery, produces fresh water. And I think
that's pretty interesting.
Somebody got very bright the day they figured this out. Wouldn't you say?
I would say somebody had a thinking cap on.
Somebody had his thinking cap on. You know what a thinking cap looks like?
No.
It's also called a dunce cap. Now, our next picture is a picture of downtown Brooklyn, and man, that does not look like downtown Brooklyn to me until I look at that building that's on the right. Do you recognize that, Tom?
Looks like it's in Los Angeles.
It looks like what?
It's in Los Angeles.
Yeah, but the building on the right with a clock at the top, do you recognize that?
No.
That's that big building that was in downtown Brooklyn, right in the middle of downtown Brooklyn, with a clock at the top. Don't you remember that when we were young?
No, I don't.
Well, imagine downtown Brooklyn when you were about 22 or 25 or something like that.
Yeah, I was working there.
Yeah, there was a big building that you could see from half of Brooklyn because it stood so tall above everything else, and there was a big clock right at the top of it. And I remember, when I first arrived in Brooklyn, somebody saying to me, if you ever get lost, just look for that building and you can find your way to downtown. And then you can take the Myrtle Avenue L to Pratt Institute. How about that?
Yep.
The rest of those tall buildings down there.
You got to talk in Brooklynese, though. It's the Moidle Avenue
I'm
L.
sorry, it's the Moidle Avenue L, but it isn't the Moidle Avenue L anymore because it's gone. Those were good days when you could ride those 1890 period cars all through Brooklyn for 15 cents. Okay, this is from Clean Technica. What do you got for a title?
A sustainable skyscraper grows in Brooklyn thanks to an alloy.
Yeah. Alloy.
Oh, no, to alloy. It's not an alloy.
That's right. Alloy is an architectural and design firm. That's the name of the company that focuses on property in New York City, especially Brooklyn. Its most recent project is a 44-story tall residential building in downtown Brooklyn. Everything in the building, from ovens to elevators, operates on electricity that comes from renewable sources. And of course, that skyscraper is the building that we're talking about, as I understand it. So there you go. Brooklyn is...
Times they are changing.
Yeah, the times are changing. I went to Brooklyn several years ago, and I went to Pratt Institute and saw the building that I lived in when I was there and so forth. And without the L, that neighborhood is just different. But downtown Brooklyn obviously is different too. We're up to Friday, January 26th. And what do we have here, Tom?
Well, it looks like solar panels, and they're looking straight up.
They're looking straight up, that's right. And this is from a publication called Financial Post. What do you have for...
And I quote,
Yeah.
China added more solar panels in 2023 than the whole U.S. did in its entire history.
Yeah. China installed
China's
more...
having great guns here.
Oh, yeah. China is unbelievable. China installed more solar panels in 2023 than any other nation has built in total, adding to a massive renewable energy fleet that's already leading the world by a wide margin. China added 216.9 gigawatts of solar capacity last year. What's a gigawatt, Tom?
It's a gigawatt, baby.
And they added 216.9 of them. And this is blowing away its previous record of 87.4. So they jumped from a record of 87.4 gigawatts in 1 year to 216.9.
That's about fivefold.
Oh, this is unbelievable. And the thing is, 216.9 gigawatts of solar might be the equivalent, because solar has a very low capacity factor compared to nuclear. That might be the equivalent of, I'm going to say, 35 nuclear reactors. So the solar energy that they're producing from the capacity they added this year is approximately the same amount of electricity as what they would get from, I'm just guessing, 35 nuclear reactors. Nobody's adding 35 nuclear reactors or 216.9 gigawatts of solar. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to write an article about this that I'm going to submit to Clean Technica, because China is so far ahead of the United States, it is pathetic. It's just pathetic. China is, years ago, China was producing 98% of the solar panels in the world. Well, now they're not. Why? Because India is producing more. The United States is now producing more than it was then, but it's got a long ways to go to catch up. China is producing more electric vehicles than the United States. Even though Tesla is the biggest selling electric car manufacturer, or was, because Tesla has been surpassed by BYD in sales of electric cars, and BYD is the biggest seller of electric buses in the world, and it sells electric mining equipment, and it sells electric this, and it sells electric firefighting trucks, and it's just unbelievable. And where's the United States on that? And you can go down this list: vehicles, solar panels are just the beginning, and you can go to one thing after another. China is producing a large part of the wind turbines that are produced worldwide. They are producing much of the lithium for the batteries. They're just outproducing the United States in one thing after another. And the reason, in my opinion, is that the United States has been focusing on retaining past technologies, and China has been focusing on developing future technologies. Now, would you rather bet with the future, or would you rather bet with the past? Because we're not going to go back to the past.
I don't think.
Okay, should we go on?
Yes, yes.
Okay, we have a picture of Mauna Loa Observatory. And this, by the way, is the Mauna Loa Meteorological Observatory. Okay.
Yeah, they observe the heavens.
They observe the weather, the air.
Oh, it's the weather.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is
the
from-
heavens. It's the air.
This is Clean Technica. That's why you don't see any big domes with telescopes.
I was looking for that.
Yep. What do you got for a title?
U.S. Department of Energy is helping NOAA's Mauna Loa Observatory get to net zero.
Okay.
You have to explain that.
Yeah, I will. The US DOE, the Department of Energy, awarded NOAA, that is the, I've forgotten what NOAA stands for. It's the
National Association
Thank
of
you.
Atmospheric something or other.
Atmospheric and Oceanic.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, anyway, $5 million to support converting Mauna Loa atmospheric baseline observatory in Hawaii to be a net zero carbon facility. Among other things, the Mauna Loa Observatory monitors the global increase in levels of greenhouse gases. And
Well, that's a good thing to do.
yeah, I think it is. I think that's right. By the way, I saw a really good video on why we can be certain that human-caused, that climate change is caused by human activity. And I should write an article on that and then put it on Green Energy Times so we can, or Clean Technica, so we can do it on the show. Because, you know, everything that we talk about on the show has been published someplace. So I'd have to get that published as a print thing. So we've got an article coming up from ABC News and a picture of the bathtub ring at Lake Mead.
Yeah, it's the back end of Lake Mead.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than it's been, but it's still bad.
Yeah, it is. And they've got a big atmospheric wind coming in now, which is going to put 6 inches of rain in some areas of California. What do you have for a title?
North America experienced an unprecedented hot drought in the last century.
Okay, Western North America has experienced an unprecedented hot drought in quotes, over the last century, according to research that shows the amplification of heat in the region over recent decades. The paper was published in a publication called Science Advances, which is a peer-reviewed publication. So I think that is probably all we really need to say about that.
So it's not only dry, but it's hot.
It's dry and it's hot, and that's a bad combination because at extra temperature, everything evaporates faster.
They add to each other.
That's right. Okay, we're up to Saturday, January 27th, and we have a picture of a solar array
How about that?
and an article that comes from WDET 101.9 FM. That is clearly a radio station.
From Detroit.
Yeah.
No, from Dearborn.
Well, it's, yeah, Dearborn.
But Dearborn's right next to Detroit.
Good enough. What do you got for a title?
Dearborn commits to 100% renewable energy at city buildings.
Yep, in Michigan. The city of Dearborn is opting into DTE Energy's MI Green Power program, that's Michigan Green Power, to get municipal buildings to 100% renewable energy by 2026.
That's coming up quick.
That's coming up quick. Dearborn Mayor Abdullah Hammoud says it's one of the ways the city is taking a lead in becoming more green. So he's proud of Dearborn because Dearborn is more green than other cities. And I think that's fair. You got anything more on that, Tom?
No, it's just a good thing that they're doing this. It's a sign of things to come.
Yeah, it is. I absolutely agree with that. Okay, our next item comes from CBC, and we have a picture of an agricultural robot. And
kind of like an automatic tractor, huh?
Sort of, yeah. What do you have for a title?
AI is increasingly being used to deal with climate change, but it has its own emission problems.
Yeah. As the climate...
And by the way, AI is artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
That's the intelligence of machines over the intelligence of living beings.
Yeah, and I will claim, I do claim sometimes that I'm the person who discovered artificial intelligence. And I claim that because I was a computer engineer back in about 1982 or something like that, and I discovered artificial intelligence in the form of artificial malice. Got that?
Artificial knowledge?
Malice. The computers were being malicious, and I said, that thing is doing that. That's intelligence, mean artificial intelligence. Okay, let me read the synopsis on this. As climate changes, farmers are facing more challenges than ever before. By the way, I didn't actually discover artificial intelligence. I just made that up. Floods, droughts, disease, and shift in the growing and harvesting seasons mean agricultural business is rapidly changing. AI can help, but it has its own problems. You want to know how fast agriculture is changing?
Yeah, you're going to tell me.
Right now, we are just getting ready to harvest lemons here in Brattleboro.
Harvesting lemons in Brattleboro?
That's right.
That's interesting.
We have a single Meyer lemon tree, and it has about 30 lemons on it, and they are just beautiful. And I think they're probably in about a week they're going to start falling off the tree. Now,
that's interesting because it's still winter.
Well, you see, the thing is, citrus trees try to produce fruit year-round, and if you give them a chance in Brattleboro, they're going to do it. They want to be outside, but they will live inside during the winter if they're in pots and you bring them in. And this particular tree is about 4 feet tall. We have another tree that is Calamondin, Calamondin. I think I might be wrong about that. And they produce a fruit that looks like an orange, but it's about the size of a golf ball, and it's extremely tart, like kumquats. And if you like kumquats, then you'll find these things delicious. And if you don't, you'll probably like the marmalade made from them. And we've got other stuff. And, we've got figs, and we've got persimmons, and
Yeah, you got quite a...
We have quite a lot of stuff.
Things growing here.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it is stuff that would not be expected to be growing in New England, but nevertheless it is. But you go down Elliott Street and you'll come across pawpaws, and there's no way they're supposed to be growing in Vermont, but somebody probably planted them. But we're getting volunteer pawpaws now, and that's in Vermont. They're supposed to be in North Carolina. Things are changing. Okay, I'm going to go on if you don't mind. Is that all right?
Okay with me.
Okay. We have a picture of transmission lines and an article from Clean Technica. You got it?
Copper is king, but it is time for a metal meritocracy.
Metal meritocracy. There you go. As the world scrambles to slow climate change by electrifying everything, parenthetically, and decarbonizing everything, demand for copper is soaring. But the U.S. DOE's, I'm gonna put that up so people can see it. Whoops, wrong button, this button. U.S. DOE's Advanced Metals and Manufacturing Technologies Office launched a new prize in 2021 to develop alternatives. And this article has 4 of them. Now, I can tell you, some of these alternatives are things that people have used in the past. For example...
Oh, aluminum is one of them.
What? Aluminum, yeah. I used to work in the chemical industry, as you probably know, and in that industry, the particular plant, one of the plants that I worked in, had a problem because the stuff that we were making was poisoned if it came in contact with copper. We were making fluors and phosphors, and the fluorescent pigments that were used in television sets in those days. And those pigments can get into serious trouble if they have just the smallest amount of copper in them. So naturally, the goal in the plant was to have all of the electric lines made of aluminum. So that
aluminum it's a substitute for copper. It's not as good a conductor.
So you need bigger wires.
Huh?
You need bigger wires.
Bigger wires, exactly.
Yeah. And I remember a day when somebody in maintenance discovered that a contractor had put in a copper wire, and the head of research and development, who, by the way, was very religiously devout, had a few things that religiously devout people don't usually say about the contractor. So there you go. Okay.
Well, it says 4 are described here. You want to describe them?
No, we mentioned aluminum. What were the other ones, Tom?
Well, gold is an excellent
and believe it or not, it's used in computers.
But it's expensive.
It's expensive as all get out, but it's one of the reasons why computer electronics should be recycled so the gold can be taken out.
And silver's a better conductor than gold.
Yeah, I know that. And it's also one of the best conductors around for temperature, thermal conductors.
Yeah.
Not as good as graphene, but you know, there's not a lot of graphene in the world. Okay, let's go on.
Moving right along.
Our next item is from MSN. And let me put this picture up. It's a solar farm. And you have a title, I'll betcha.
Booming renewable energy generation halves wholesale power prices across the national grid.
Okay, now this is talking about Australia, not the United States.
Aha.
Rapid growth in renewable generation reduced the wholesale cost of power in Australia's energy grid late last year, and it greatly reduced reliance on coal. Prices were down by more than half in the final 3 months of 2023 compared to the same period in 2022. And that...
This is a good trend.
Yeah, this is good. And, you know, the people in Eastern Australia have been having price hikes for electricity that are just outrageous. And now that they're shifting into higher and higher percentages of renewable electricity, those price hikes are being rolled back. So there you have it. I think we should go on to our next item.
Yes, yes. A picture of geothermal district heating
and cooling. That's right. And I should apologize for the fact that this particular picture is kind of fuzzy, but I looked for a bigger picture and I couldn't find it. This is from Clean Technica.
Well, there's a little bit of geothermal going on right here in Brattleboro.
Yeah? Okay.
The latest development by the Housing Authority is supplemented by geothermal heating.
Okay, good.
At a high school.
What do you got for a title?
Geothermal heat pumps, key opportunity in switch to clean energy.
Yes, analysis from Oak Ridge National Laboratory and the National Renewable Energy Laboratory found that coupled with building envelope improvements, installing geothermal heat pump in around 70% of U.S. buildings could save as much as 593 terawatt hours of electricity annually. Now
you think gigawatts is bigger?
Gigawatts is bigawatts.
Terawatts, 1,000 gigawatts.
Yeah, this is 593,000 gigawatt hours annually. That's a lot. And the picture here shows a renewable energy station in which they're picking up heat from the earth at some depth and then moving it through pipes to a bunch of different buildings and houses and stuff.
Well, there's geothermal almost anywhere, even in Iceland.
Oh yeah, even in Iceland. There's a lot of it in Iceland. And in Iceland, what they're trying to do is to tap that geothermal by drilling directly into volcanoes, because they've got volcanoes there.
Yep.
Okay, our next item, let's see. Our next item comes from the BBC.
Look at that ship.
Look at that ship. That is one big ship.
That's for sure.
That is amazing. It's 10 stories tall. It's huge. It's huge. It's 1,197 feet long. That's longer than most aircraft carriers.
Yeah, it is. This is just people taking a vacation.
They have 20 decks on. Well, why don't you read the title and then I'll read the synopsis.
Icon of the Seas, the world's largest cruise ship, set sail from Miami.
Yep, the world's largest cruise ship has set sail from Miami on its maiden voyage, but there are concerns about the vehicle's methane emissions as it is powered by liquefied natural gas. Pardon me. The 365-meter long, that is 1,197 feet, Icon of the Seas has 20 decks and can house a maximum of 7,600 passengers.
That's quite a vacation you take on one of these things. They have everything on those ships.
You could put half the population of Brattleboro into that thing and have room left over.
Yeah.
Okay, and the problem here is that ships are notorious for burning bunker fuel, for example, and that's very polluting. But this one, they've tried to do better with liquefied natural gas, but environmentalists are upset with them.
It's a big improvement.
It's a big improvement, but liquefied natural gas has its own problems. So I don't know.
Not like bunker fuel. Bunker fuel is it's the lowest quality fuel you can get.
I know. Okay, we are up to an item from ABC News. Let me put the picture up. And this is a dwelling in Sudan. People live in that building. People live in that building. Just keep that under consideration. What do you got for a title?
Well, they don't have a solar panel on the roof.
No, they don't. And but what do you got?
52 killed in clashes in a disputed oil-rich African region of Abia, or however you say it.
I'm going to say Abyei. Gunmen attacked villagers in the oil-rich region of Abyei, claimed by both Sudan and South Sudan, leaving at least 52 people dead, including a UN peacekeeper, an official said. The attackers were armed youth who migrated into the state last year because of flooding in their areas. Now, this is an example of a problem that is created by a combination of dependency on fossil fuels, the climate change that it created, which put those youths out of their homes because flooding, and instability. And the reason I chose to put this into this broadcast is because it really is kind of something that we should be worried about in the future because it's going to spread. By the way, that article appeared on Monday, January 29th, and we've got 2 more articles from the same day. I'm going to go on, Tom, if that's right with you.
Can't dance.
Okay. Now we've got an electric bus, and this bus is we have an article from Clean Technica. You read the title, okay?
New electric buses for Waterloo.
Yes, in 2020, the region of Waterloo, Ontario discontinued purchases of diesel-only buses, switching to hybrid and electric options. The first of Grand River Transit's electric buses will begin service next month as part of a zero-emission bus pilot project. 10 additional electric buses are expected this year. And I want to point out the production of buses in China is perhaps, a year ago it was about 100 times as many electric buses were being made in China as in the United States. And I don't know where this bus comes from, but I'd be surprised if it doesn't come from China.
I would too.
Yeah.
No, it's not coming from the U.S., and I doubt it's coming from Canada.
Yeah. Well, you never can tell about what the Canadians will do. They do all kinds of things. One of these days they're going to have an electric snowmobile. Okay, they probably already do, as a matter of fact.
Oh, I was just going to say, I bet they do already.
All right, we have a picture of a Tesla, and this is from Clean Technica.
Looks like a Tesla to me, and there's no grill in the front there.
That's right, sure is. What do you got for a title?
Tesla Financials, Deep Dive, Massive Growth.
Yes, Elon Musk and Tesla's top executives conducted the year 2023 and Q4 of 2023 earnings call last week. That is the week before last. No, I guess it is last week. 2023 was Tesla's best year yet. In addition to delivering a record 1.8 million vehicles last year, Tesla's energy storage and solar business grew to more than double last year compared to 2022.
Tesla's doing quite well for themselves.
Yeah, and there was a thing in the news, I think it was today, Elon Musk had made a deal with the Tesla board of directors that if he met certain goals, they would give him a bonus or a compensation of $54 billion. That's a compensation. Would you take that for compensation?
I wouldn't know what to do with it.
I know what I would do with it. I'd give a lot of it to the state of Vermont on the condition that they have a big party. Course,
that'd be a good idea.
Of course, the big party would just be a tiny nibble out of that amount of money. Okay. Anyway, should we go on?
Yes, yes.
Okay. We have a picture here of a company, of a town called Ohrid, North Macedonia.
That's like near Greece.
Yeah, it's just north of Greece. And this is from Balkan Green Energy News. I get a surprising amount of stuff from Balkan Green Energy News. What do you got for a title?
North Macedonia hosts 160% growth in new renewables capacity in 2023.
Right.
160% growth.
That's kind of fast.
That's significant.
Yes. Renewable electricity capacity in North Macedonia increased by 551.2 megawatts over the last 2 years. That's more than half a gigawatt, but we've been talking about hundreds of gigawatts here. North Macedonia is not exactly a big country. This is a lot of electricity for them. Of that, 399 megawatts was installed in 2023, 2.5 times more than the year before. The increase was spurred by a combination of legal reforms. There you go. Change your laws and you'll change your income.
Well, we're talking about a half a gigawatt here, so this is not something to sneeze at.
It's not trivial. Okay, our next item comes from ABC News.
Looks like an elephant to me.
Yes, and don't do this at home. Don't get into an argument with an elephant, particularly if it's pointing straight at you.
What's that on the elephant's head? Is it birds or people?
Egrets.
It's birds.
Birds, that's right. I looked it up. Okay, as I said, this is from ABC News. What do you have for a title?
Global warming could increase the risk of human-elephant conflict, researchers say.
The risk of conflict between elephants and humans could increase in the future due to climate change and other human-caused environmental factors, according to new research published in the Proceedings from the National Academy of Sciences. And by the way, I think I might have mentioned already, but if I did, I apologize for mentioning it twice. I saw a very nice video about why we know that the climate change is caused by human beings. And I will write something about that. Anyway.
It's not caused by elephants, that's for sure.
No, the elephants are not causing it. You know, people have tried to control how elephants strip forests and things like that. And they've discovered that the elephants are really kind of important to preserving the forests. Even though they wreck certain things and so forth, they're also responsible for big improvements. Okay, our next item is from Clean Technica. This is a Sierra Northern train.
A picture of an interesting train, yep.
Yep. What do you have for title?
U.S. Department of Transportation announces $31.4 million loan to upgrade critical rail lines in California.
The United States Department of Transportation announced provision of a $31.4 million loan to Sierra Northern Railway and Mendocino Railway to expand and rehabilitate rail systems in the Central Valley and Mendocino County. Now, that's important because it reflects something that should be going on all over the United States, which is maintaining the rail systems. Railroads are so much more efficient than roads for transporting things and people that I think we should keep that under advisement.
Well, speaking of rails, they're finally getting around to building a railroad station in Brattleboro.
Yes? I thought they already had a railroad station in Brattleboro.
It's not a station. They're just renting some space in a building.
Oh, yes, right.
They got a place for the trains to stop and start, but they really don't have a waiting room.
And they're building a waiting room.
Well, they're building a whole railroad station, yeah.
Okay, in a separate building? I didn't know about this.
Yeah, it'll be a separate building.
I used to take that railroad, I used to take the railroad to Washington, D.C. when I was working. I was living in Winchester, New Hampshire, and working in Washington, D.C., and that was something that went on and off for several years.
That makes sense.
It does. You know, I went down, I would stay down there for a month and then come back. And the railroad was far more comfortable than taking a plane.
Oh, it's just nice.
Getting down there by plane would save me 2 hours.
Well, drink, you eat a meal on board.
Yeah.
It's comfortable.
Yeah, and getting down there on a plane would have saved me 2 hours because it would have meant that my son and I would have had to drive to one of the big airports, and then I'd take the plane, which would take me to a place near Washington, D.C., and I'd have to take what became a subway after traveling several miles. The railroad was a very good alternative, and I enjoyed it very much.
It takes you from downtown to downtown.
Yes, that's right. It would pull into, well, the place that it delivered me to in Washington was literally a walk from the hotel where I stayed. And the hotel where I stayed was literally a walk from where I was working. So it was a very good solution to going down there and working. So we have, I think, 3 more items. We do, and we've got a lot of time to tell them in. And went through our stuff very fast. We're
Well,
going.
we've abandoned, not really quite abandoned our railroads, but in favor of using the car.
Absolutely.
The railroads make a lot of sense.
The cars were pushed on us during a period when, well, a lot of things were pushed on us, and it was before your time or mine. It was during the Depression. People were being told that it's a good thing to throw things away and replace them with new things, because that meant somebody would be employed. And it was a good thing to drive a car instead of taking a train, because that meant that somebody would be employed. And people who had jobs and had money should share their wealth by using up products. And it was a way to get the United States out of the Depression, but we institutionalized it, and it is not a good way forward. And private cars, I don't know what to say about private cars. We're up to Wednesday, January 31st, and we have a picture of a dam.
I thought it was the Great Wall of China.
The Great Wall of China. It looks like a road going along a river or something, doesn't it?
Well, it's a dam. This is the dam itself.
Yeah. And it's what they call an earthen dam. And it comes from Swarajya. Got that? What do you have for a title, Tom?
Something like that.
Yeah. What do you have for a title?
India's renewable energy capacity has reached 188 gigawatts, according to President Murmu.
Murmu, yeah, President Murmu. India's installed renewable energy capacity has increased to about 188 gigawatts, up from 81 gigawatts a decade ago, President Draupadi Murmu said in an address. She noted...
Double.
What's that?
More than double.
She noted that solar power capacity has increased 26-fold. Wind power capacity has doubled in the last 10 years. Now, I want to point out, we started at the beginning of this broadcast talking about renewable energy going into China, and the amount that they added last year was significantly more than the 188 gigawatts that India has installed in all time.
Yeah.
So the Chinese are just installing this stuff like mad. They're still building coal-burning power plants, by the way. But, you know, that's what they're doing. And
I guess they got a lot of coal.
They have a lot of coal, and, you know, they're tremendous capitalists who cannot stand the idea of stranded assets, the People's Republic of China. And I'm not kidding.
The communists are the best capitalists we have.
Well, those communists are. Those communists. The ones in Russia, I don't know. I don't know what to say. What?
They don't know what they're doing.
I had a friend who was a Russian communist at one time, and I mean, he was a Russian agent who was licensed as an agent in the United States representing the USSR. And he told me the Chinese are crazy. Well, they don't always agree. What can I say?
Not much.
Yeah, not much. Okay.
Moving right along. Oh, here we go. We got a butterfly.
We have a butterfly, and this is from ABC News. And this particular news item is not as bad as it sounds, but it is not good.
I used to see a lot of them in Brattleboro, and I don't see them anymore.
Tom, when I was a kid in a certain time of year, if I wanted to see the larva of a monarch butterfly or the monarch butterflies themselves, I would go out, walk to a place where I was pretty sure there was milkweed growing, and they would be there. They would always be there.
Always, right?
At that time of year, and they were always around. And I could tell you interesting stories about monarch butterflies and the way they migrate and things like that. But the they aren't around the way they used to be. And during the summer, if I see a monarch butterfly someday, I tell people about it.
Yeah, like I said, I used to see them in Brattleboro. I haven't seen one in a long time.
Well, this is from ABC News. What do you have for a title?
Western monarch butterflies overwintering in California drops 30% in 2023.
Yeah, the number
They migrate and they overwinter in California.
Yes, the number of Western monarch butterflies, and they will live in the summer in Washington State. I don't know, they probably go into Canada. And then they'll migrate south for the winter. And by the way, that is a much more complicated thing than it sounds, because the butterflies that leave Washington State are not the ones that arrive in Southern California. Yeah, they mate and they lay their eggs, and new caterpillars grow, and they produce new butterflies which continue to migrate south.
How do they know?
I can tell you one thing. They don't have college degrees, but they do know what direction to fly in. Okay, the number of, let's see. Other causes for the decline are destruction of habitat due to housing, pesticides, herbicides, and, of course, climate change. So they're having a hard time, and I think they're going to disappear if we don't start doing something about that. And one of the things that I would say is I feel fairly confident that the pesticides and herbicides that are the herbicides kill milkweed. The pesticides kill the monarch butterflies along with a bunch of others. And we've got to start dealing with the values of things that we've got in nature. And, the material that I'm seeing indicates to me that, for example, we don't need glyphosate to get corn. And, and by the way, just as a matter of interest, I did some calculations about a week ago, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but I looked at the number of acres in the United States that would be required to put into solar panels in order to provide all of our energy from solar. And I looked at the number of acres that we have devoted to corn that's being grown for ethanol. And the number of acres for solar is less than the number of acres that are devoted to corn ethanol. Now,
did we do that on the show one day?
I think we did. Maybe that was right. We don't need to devote a whole lot of land to solar power and if we got all of our energy out of these solar systems, we wouldn't need any corn ethanol. So
there's money to be made.
There's money to be made, and the money the places where they're growing corn for corn ethanol were not used. A lot of them were not used for growing corn for food. That was land that was converted from prairie. So this is we're being extremely wasteful, and
this is not progress.
This is not progress. I absolutely agree with that. Okay, we have a picture of wind turbines.
We've seen this picture before.
I think you're right, but I'm not going to admit it because I always try to find new pictures. But I was in a hurry when I got this one. PV Tech provides us with this a particular article. What do you have for title?
U.S. signs power purchasing agreements for 16.2 gigawatts of renewables in 2023, including 10.5 gigawatts of solar.
Yeah, this is the EU, the European Union. The Swiss financial analyst Pexa Park. That doesn't sound like a financial analyst, does it? It sounds like a kid's candy or something. Has published its latest report on European renewable power purchase agreement sector, European PPA Market Outlook 2024. It found that European buyers struck deals for a record of 16.2 gigawatts of clean power in 2023. Compare that with what's happening in India and China, please. I mean, it makes what's going on in Europe sound really kind of sad compared to the work that's going on in India and China. And yet, the Europeans are...
Bad news, but there's better news out there.
Yes, the Europeans are reducing their reliance on coal. And I don't know what they're doing about nuclear, because, the stuff that's going... The French, EDF, they want to put off delivery of a power plant in the UK by 6 additional years. And the price of the plant's 2 reactors is going to $60 billion, almost, 59 billion.
We've talked about that one, haven't we?
Yeah, and now...
Enormous increase in price.
Yeah, the government of the UK says, well, they're asking for us to guarantee loans, and we aren't going to do it. So maybe the UK is getting fed up with nuclear power. I don't know. Anyway,
Well, they're about 6 times over budget already.
it's crazy how much over budget they are. So we're going up to our last slide, which says, have an outrageously easy week. What do you think of that, Tom?
I'm going to have to figure out how to have an outrageously easy week.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to wave goodbye. I'm waving goodbye. I know for a fact that Tom is waving goodbye because I know Tom.
Yeah, I'm waving goodbye, and my cat he's sitting this one out.
He's sitting this out. Can you see where he is?
No.
Your cat is he's not participating in the show. What's the matter with him?
Oh, I don't know. He's just enjoying the warmth, I guess.
Ah, okay. Now, there are people who have been asking me to do a show called Cat Week. And we're giving that good consideration. It might be a one-off. It would just be for whatever week it is. It might be the cats for that week. But anyway, that might come along. You never can tell. What do you think about that, Tom?
My cat would enjoy it.
Yeah, I suppose he would. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. And what are you going to ask people to do now, Tom? Come back?
Y'all come back and see us now, you hear?
Yes, that's right.